Good evening, everyone. My name is Janice Lamb Snyder. I am with the Sacramento Metropolitan Air Quality Management District. Welcome to the South Sacramento Floor and Steering Committee meeting. This meeting will be recorded and posted onto the district's Community Air Protection webpage. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our chairs, Bill Knowlton and Patricia Shelby.
Good evening, everyone. And as always, thank you for taking time out of your busy lives to spend some time with us. We know how challenging this is and how difficult it is for us to navigate these waters. So again, thank you so much for your patience in conducting these meetings. Pat, would you do a roll call of our steering committee members?
Yes, I will. Bishop Chris Baker, are you present?
Yes.
Denise McCoy, are you present? Gary Johansson, are you present? Rhonda Henderson, are you present?
Pat, I'm going to do something really quickly. The audience is muted, so can you start back with Denise? Can you unmute yourself, please?
Okay, let me start again. Bishop Chris Baker, are you present?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Denise McCoy, are you present? Denise. Gary Johansson, are you present? Rhonda Henderson, are you present?
If you are calling in from the phone, please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Shirley Banks, are you present?
This is Denise McCoy. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, Denise. Thank you. All right. Gary Johansson, is your system working? All right. Shirley Banks, are you present? Rhonda Henderson, are you present? Stephanie Williams, are you present? Tito Hung, are you present?
Hi, Pat. Yes. Hi, Bill. I'm here.
All right, thank you. Vincent Valdez, are you present? Okay. By my count, we do not have a quorum. Bill Knowlton present, Patricia Shelby present, Chris Baker present, Denise McCoy present, and Tito is present. We do not have a quorum. We need one more.
Okay.
Let's proceed and hope that we'll get our late starter joining us.
Okay, we'll do a roll call on the district side.
Yes, please, if you will.
Dr. Alberto Ayala.
Hello, I'm here.
Amy Roberts.
Present.
David Yang.
I'm here.
Jaime Lemus. Jamie Arno.
Present.
John Henkelman.
I'm here.
Levi Ford. Mark Lautzenheiser.
Present.
I'm going to do a roll call for CARB staff. Karen Buckley. Karen, you have to unmute yourself. She's on. I see her on. Jennifer Magana,
Hi, Janice.
Dave Ridley,
Present.
Samar Lichtenstein,
Present.
Veronica Eady, okay. And then we have a few of our outside experts that we shared last meeting. We have Dr. Tony Wexler. Barbara Lee from Sonoma Technology.
I am here.
Hillary Hafner from Sonoma Technology.
I'm here as well. I'm
Okay.
here as well.
Great. That's all I have on our end. I will, Ariel Ambrister, are you here?
I am, and I see that we have one more member of the steering committee who's joined at least. There's a long list of folks here.
Who just joined us from the steering committee?
So Vincent Valdez, I believe it's here. Vincent, did you want to unmute yourself?
Hello.
Hi, Vincent.
Okay. Go ahead, Ariel.
Okay, great. So with that, we now have a quorum, correct?
Correct. Levi, can you move to the next slide?
Yes, we have a quorum now.
Great. And as we notice the names of additional steering committee members joining, we will welcome them in. And it might be a little harder with folks with phone numbers, but we will try to acknowledge you all as soon as we can. Okay, just to go over our agenda for today. So we will start out with some administrative items, which include a couple meeting summaries. And then we will turn it over to steering committee for discussion on the draft community error monitoring plan. And we got from 6:20 to 7 p.m. for that. Then we have public comment on the draft community error monitoring plan. And then Janice, that is also just general public comment, is that how that works?
Yes.
Okay, great. Then we will take our mid-meeting break so that everybody gets to stretch a little bit. And then at 7:15, we will have Sac Metro Air District Chair and City of Sacramento Council Member Eric Guerra, who will speak briefly. And then the next part of the discussion will be the steering committee discussing its priorities and looking to calendar agendas on topics that the steering committee members had been able to poll on. And then we'll have the new business section where steering committee members can bring up new items that they'd like to propose for future agendas. So with that, I'll just briefly review the code of conduct that steering committee members had agreed to. So you all are encouraged to communicate openly and directly with each other and courteously. The idea is that folks can listen and try to understand where other folks are coming from and communicate in a way where other folks can hear you, so that can encourage mutual understanding and helping you all move forward. We ask that people respect other points of view, there are a lot of different points of view around the table, and that's a great and wonderful thing, and we can acknowledge that there are different perspectives, and we can find ways to talk around and through that and move forward. Part of that is being flexible and open-minded. As we look to helping and supporting you all and working better with each other, if we can try to keep an open mind and listen to people. One of the ideas that we suggest with our collaborative processes is if you can separate the people from the issues, be soft on the people, hard on the issues, we can all focus around the issues and what that person is saying, and really just try to listen to each other. Part of that is trying to see the positive intentions that others are bringing to this. As you know, you all are really focused on the interest of the community, children and families, and so you all have that as common ground. So being solution focused, looking for opportunities and how you all can identify how to move forward will help you get past roadblocks and past history. And so those are your code of conduct with my contextualizing. And I will be keeping track of action items from today, and then also a parking lot for any items that are raised that are not on the agenda, that are items that you all might want to consider in future agendas. And with that, I'll transition to David Yang from the district, who will talk about logistics and technology.
Okay, thank you. Levi, can you go to the next slide, please? So I'm just going to give you some logistic updates. So we do have staff available to help if there are some technology issues. Just give me a call. My number is 916-874-4847. For the steering committee discussions, the chairs will have a round robin where they'll be calling on all members, and that will allow all members to participate in the discussion. For the public comment period, those that are interested in speaking will first be put into a list to participate. To get on the list, there are several ways. One way is through the message box. The message box can be accessed by clicking on the message icon, which is shown on the slide. We will open the message box and ask for speakers, and then close the message box. We will probably be opening up the message box to allow more people to be added to the list. Another way to get on the list is to send an email to me directly. And send an email to dyang@airquality.org. That's dyang@airquality.org. Please indicate in the subject line that you have a question or comment. If you want to remain anonymous, please indicate that in your email, and I will read your question or comment to the group. The last way to get on the list is that we will open up the phone lines for people that are on the phone to let them know if they want to speak. Please indicate your name and affiliation so that when it's your turn, we can call on you to speak. When called upon, please unmute yourself. For people using the web application, there's a button with a microphone. Just click on that to unmute yourself. If you're using a phone, press *6. If you're using both the computer and telephone, you have to unmute both computer and telephone to speak. That concludes the logistics information. I'll turn it back to the chair, Bill Knowlton.
Oh, Bill, this is Ariel. If I can just clarify one thing that David talked about. So I think the idea is that we'll identify who wants to speak in the members of the public, and we'll form a queue so we'll understand how many folks are going to speak, and then David will be noting those people that will come in to speak in order. So just to clarify that piece of forming the queue.
Okay, Bill, there you go.
I got you. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for all of that. So we have, excuse me, a couple of items. Again, Ariel is going to be keeping us in time and taking notes. Speaking of notes, we have two of our meeting notes, 225, 2020 and 310, 2020, that were sent out. And we would entertain a motion for approval of those two meeting notes.
And Bill, this is Ariel. I see that Rhonda has joined.
Okay.
Rhonda Henderson. So it's possible some other members are now on from the phone as well.
I entertain for the motion.
Thank you, Bishop. Do we have a second?
I second it. Rhonda Henderson.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on this item? Pat, would you do a roll call for a vote?
Yes. Bishop Chris Baker, your vote, please. Denise McCoy, your vote.
No, I'm not happy with the presentation part. I don't feel that was.
Is that a no vote? I'm sorry.
That's a no vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rhonda,
want to know why?
Yes, go ahead.
And
because
Denise,
I
also,
didn't
if
feel
there's
that
something
the presentation part was as thorough, which is mentioned here, and that I did make a point of that at the end of that presentation point. So, and I did ask for technical assistance. I would like for every time, someone on the committee ask for help or ask for clarity, that it be in the note, so that we know how long that member has been asking for that clarity. So if you want to just document that, that would be fine. I mean, I just would like to have that. And also that was second by during comments. So if you wanted to add that, put a note on that, that would be fine.
Okay. All right. And those comments were from Denise McCoy, for the record. Everyone, please make sure that we know who you are when you speak. Rhonda Henderson, your vote?
Yes. My vote is yes.
Yes. Shirley Banks, your vote? Stephanie Williams, I know that you joined. Stephanie, on the telephone, you have to hit #6 for it to come through on the telephone.
*6.
*6, rather.
*6.
I'm sorry. *6. Tito, Huang,
Yes, ma'am.
your vote? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Vote to approve.
Okay. Stephanie, that was vote to approve?
That's correct.
Thank you. Vincent Valdez?
Abstain.
Vincent abstains. Bill Knowlton? Bill Knowlton, your vote, please.
Approved. Thank you.
And Patricia Shelby, I approve. All right. We have
I
one.
approve also. You didn't call me out.
I'm sorry, Chris Baker? Bishop Chris
Yes.
Baker? Okay. We have
right.
one extension. And Denise made correction to the record. All right.
Yep.
All right. The vote passes.
So we have an approved amended minutes, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Since there is no further discussion, Janice, would you take us to the next item on our agenda?
Excuse me, we didn't do but we didn't approve were we approving the March 10th one too?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Well, can I add, because I thought we were doing it separate, but I just want to add a comment about that one too. At the very bottom, it is talking about a discussion about a tag, and we ran over and never did get to any type of discussion about a tag. And so I see that on there. So I'd like to get that amended too. We didn't talk about a tag.
Hi, Denise. This is Janice. I think at the end of the meeting notes, there was just a small note in there that said that Vincent was bringing up, that he had wanted to talk about the tag, and the meeting notes do reflect that the tag was moved to a different discussion. So do you have an issue with removing that discussion about a tag, that it was mentioned that it was wanted, that we wanted it, or something else, just for clarity?
Well, the steering committee discussed whether a technical advisory group should be formed and how a tag could be formed by the steering committee.
So let's admit that to that discussion was moved to move forward to a future agenda.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So are we all in agreement on both amended minutes?
Yes, it's fine with it.
Okay. All right, Janice, would you take us now to our next item on our agenda?
Sure. Okay. The first item that we have on the agenda is a continuation of our community air monitoring plan discussion from the last meeting. Hopefully, you all had an opportunity to go through the camp, specifically in the areas that we have highlighted. Last meeting, we provided an overview of the plan and answered any initial questions people had. Today's discussion will provide another opportunity for you all to ask questions and to provide comments on the draft plan. So just as a reminder, we are taking comments for the draft plan until May 8th. Comments can be provided today, questions today during our discussion, or you can feel free to send us an email, and we'll have our contact information in a later slide.
And this is Ariel. So just to clarify for steering committee members, if you want your thoughts and comments to go to staff so they can develop them into the packet for your next meeting, May 26th, that's what that May 8th deadline is for.
Right. Okay, so with that, I will hand it back to Pat to do a roll call to see if there are any questions or comments that they would like to share.
Okay, folks.
Excuse me, do you mean questions or comments about the camp?
Yes.
Talking about right now?
Yes, we're going to come through to make sure everyone gets a chance to make their comments about the camp. Yes.
Okay, I thought you was going to like call, you're not going to just call people's names and kind of go around.
Yes, we're going to go through a round robin to make sure everyone has a chance.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. All right, for everyone, the questions posed. Does the language in the draft camp reflect the steering committee's recommendations? And does any part of the draft camp need clarification? Okay, so as we go through, that can cause us with our discussion. All right. I'm going to start with Vincent Valdez.
Okay, I was just walking away from my computer, but that's okay. And so we're just answering these specific questions here?
No, this is to help the discussion, Vincent. What are your comments?
So my suggestions from the last meeting, are they reflected in the camp now, or are they still? I'm a little, because we had discussions on some of the suggestions last meeting. So is it changed, or do I still bring up those same issues? Because
we have those formally noted.
Okay. All right. Well, there were a lot of discussions and things brought up. I think one of them was the standards of which we're going to accept our monitors, as reflected in table. Let's get to it. There were a lot of different things that we talked about and covered. And I wasn't ready to go. I was actually walking away from my computer. But here we go. Table 6.1 on page 6.3. On the professional grade sensors and the professional grade ozone sensors, we're going to accept number 5 as completeness. We're going to accept 75% as completeness. That's the lowest standard of acceptance. And why aren't we accepting 90% completeness?
Hi, Vincent. This is Janice. 75% completeness is a standard that is used in very widely in the regulatory realm. Part of it is that it accounts for potential maintenance issues if a sampler goes down for a period of time, if there are power issues that might go down, so that you're not throwing away all of the good data because that's still important to keep. And so this is very consistent with our regulatory monitoring network. That's actually taken straight from the regulatory quality assurance and quality control.
But that's the lowest standard acceptable, right?
Could you please clarify what you mean by lowest standard acceptable?
Well, 75% is the threshold for accepting it. Yes.
So I will give an example. So for example, we have 24 hours in a day when we, in order to accept the data to be representative of, say, that day, we have to have a certain number of hours. And so what that metric is saying is that if you have 75%, what is that, 18 hours within that day, then that information, the data that has been collected is representative of that particular day. So it could have more than 75%, but we at least have to have 75%.
That's the point I'm trying to get. I thought we want to be at least 85 or 90%, and then or at least our goal would be, you would think now our goal is just to be the lowest acceptable amount. That's 75%. So I just wondered why our goal is so low.
Vincent, that's not our goal. That is what we will accept at the least. So we are not shooting for 75. We're shooting for 100, but that is the lowest that we would accept. 18 hours out of 24 is the example that Janice gave.
Okay, so are these suggestions going down and we're going to talk about them and have them reflected, or we're just going to say things and then just get shot down? I don't know if this is a
So let's
forum
talk
for
about
where we're brainstorming ideas, or we're not.
So this is a good question. Exactly how the steering committee talks about things, hears from staff, and then how you all make your decisions on your recommendations. So we're tracking different things, and the question is, when do we want to thoroughly discuss this one? Chairs, what are your thoughts on that approach?
At this point, I'm hoping that we are collecting all of these questions in preparation so that they can be responded to in a collection of comments and responses in the camp that the staff is collecting, and trying to hear from each member with that. So it's not a matter of shooting it down, but it sounds like it's noted by staff, but you're asking for, is there a higher standard that we can attain? Vincent, is that what you're saying?
Yes, our target says 75%, and I just want to know why our target isn't better than 75%.
I'm wondering if there's a way to meet both, the interests here, and potentially it's setting a minimum as opposed to a target or objective, that might help to meet Vincent's interest, but also reflect what the district is seeking to do as well.
And I'll share with you, I spoke with some air monitoring experts, and that was one of the suggestions that came up was, why are you guys targeting such a low threshold and not looking for a more complete analysis? And so I'm only posing that question, and that's it.
Okay. Let's accept the question, and then let's get a written response as part of the of what is going to be part of our response to the camp. Do you have another question, Vincent?
Well, I sent a whole list of emails into the district last week, and I think that's enough. That should be sufficient for everything that I spoke about, which is in regards to the concerns and how we're having outreach ahead of analysis in our 4 concerns listed in the executive summary.
Right.
It's listed in 3.1, 4.1, 6.1, 13.1, all throughout the whole camp. So I've already sent an email in, so I'm good with the questions.
Okay. All right. Tito, what questions do you have? Do you think the camp captures the steering committee recommendations to this point, or are there areas in the camp that need clarification, or other questions you may have?
Hi, Pat. Got a lot of questions. I'm going ahead and skip me for now. I'm gonna come back a little bit. Thank you, man.
All right. Stephanie Williams, member, do you have any questions, and do you have any response to questions 1 or 2? Do you think camp captures the steering committee recommendations? You are our newest member, and so you've had the least amount of time with us. Are there areas in this camp that need clarification for you?
No, it does not.
And your response is no, that there are no areas for clarification, or it does not capture the recommendations?
No areas for clarification. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Rhonda Henderson, do you have any questions at this time? Any response to, do you think the camp captures the steering committee recommendations, or are there areas that need further clarification for you? Rhonda, don't forget to turn on your speaker. Okay, I can hear someone.
Rhonda, we unmuted you on our end. You have to unmute yourself on the other end with the little microphone.
Okay. I'll come back to you, Rhonda. Denise McCoy, what are your comments to the questions? And do you have any other clarifications? Do you think the camp captures the steering committee recommendations? Are there areas in the camp that need further clarification?
Well, let's go to the further clarifications to the best. I'm going to do the best I can. My notes are not as clear as I would like. There are on page 6-3, section 6.2, it talks about establishing data quality indicators for low-cost sensors. That needs to be explained, some kind of detail, some kind of, explain how you're going to establish data quality. Also, there is professional grade monitors will not be held to FRM/FEM standards. So you're going to have expensive professional grade monitors that don't meet some type of federal standard. That needs to be explained. And then again, what Vincent was talking about in table 6.1 about the completeness being 75. I was informed that it's normally about 95. So I am wondering why it is so low. Also on page 6-5, the table, it says there a number 2 for accuracy, not applicable. That needs to be explained. Where it says for sensitivity, specify in the analytical laboratory standard operating procedures. That needs to be explained. Where it says in the next section, when it talks about low-cost sensor PM 2.5, and it says precision, it says greater than or equal to some reference, that needs to be explained. Let's see. On page 6.6-7, 6.1, where it says review historical air monitoring data. Wait a minute, let me see. These data allowed staff to identify the seasons with Pacific air pollutants and is expected to reach maximum concentration. This needs to be, you need to give us access to any kind of data monitoring, any review, any decision making, anything. There needs to be a link that takes us, that we can click and go straight to whatever documentation that you are referring to. And then I will have to come back to that because my notes is not that clear on that. Then on page 7.2, section 7.1.2.2 air matrix mini valve samplers or something. Okay, you have here, let me see. Okay, is this going to be used after AB 617? What are you going to use this for? You're buying this, expensive, equipment. What are you going to do with that after 617? And then that comment is all the way through here with the with the buying of expensive equipment. Why not just rent it if it's not going to be used after 617? So, okay, then at 7.1.2.3, where it says district will deploy low cost, I don't know, Athan Labs or something, microbe something, black carbon analyzer. How many are you going to, how many? There's not enough explanation in here. And when you refer to instruction manuals and stuff, there should be a link to where we could go and actually read this stuff for ourselves. So, hello, is everyone still on there? I don't know. Okay.
We're here.
Yeah, I hear something's going on here.
So I could answer your question just in terms of how many of these samplers are going to be on the ground. So for these phase 2 monitors, we have 6 monitoring areas that the steering committee has identified. We will be putting out a mini vol sampler, which is what you referred to, and an AthLab microathalometer, which is a black carbon analyzer. So we'll be putting one of those at each of the 6 sites, and we will be running VOC canisters at the 6 different sites as well. So I hope that answers your question there.
Okay, I want to move on because I'm just taking up too much time. I want to give everybody a chance, and this is a very big document. So some of them are just going to have to be written in. On page 10.1, section 1.1, it talks about the district implements data review procedures to reduce these errors in the final review data set. Again, that needs to be in the appendix. And the appendix that you have on the back of this is very confusing. It's not, there should be anywhere where you are referencing something, a table or anything, there should be, or a data, any type of a document that you review. There needs to be a link to that document so we can click on it and go there and read that for ourselves. So I'm going to have to, because it is such a long document, and and again, I want to know what is this expensive professional grade equipment that you're going to be getting the manufacturer, manual out to use. Is it going to be used after 617, or could that money be saved and you rent the equipment and look into something like Acoma? Now that's spelled because I'm trying to get through here. And can't find the spelling of the dang place I want to talk to you about. Okay, it is spelled ACLIMA. This company, it deploys and manages area-wide sensor networks. It would give much more precise, easy to understand data collection, meets all of the standards federal and any other kind of standards, and it would just be it's superior to the high priced just paying them to come and do the air monitoring. We would get tenfold out of it, and it would produce data that is much clearer, much more accurate than these high-priced ones that you are getting, and then you're just going to follow the instruction manual. So that would be my take on that, because I don't want to take up everyone else's time.
So I do want to.
I do want to. Let me go ahead and let someone else have their say, but because I can go over this for the next hour.
Pat, I'd like to respond to a few points that Denise brought up, if that's okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So ACLIMA does not deploy regulatory grade monitors. And so I do want to make that clear, and does not do the toxics modeling that the steering committee had requested for us to do. So they do look at PM data. I believe they also have some CO, but it is not at a regulatory grade, which is what we're proposing here, so that the data is defensible for when we use that to make any type of decisions. So that is that's our perspective on ACLIMA. Not saying that that data is not good. I think they are, but it is important to note that the sensors that are being used by ACLIMA are not a regulatory grade, and does not do the toxics testing that the steering committee has requested for us to measure.
Okay, so when I say this mobile vehicle that you're going to be using, the mobile vehicle that you're going to use.
Yes.
About phase 3.
Yeah, now that's going to produce that's going to meet federal standards.
Yeah. That's going to be high grade testing, meeting those standards.
And what kind of pollutants will that be picking up? Will that be picking up any of the pollutants from the Title V power plant that's on 47th Street? Or the lead emissions from the executive airport? Exactly what is this mobile emissions thing going to actually pick up? Because that's not, either I may have misunderstood, because of course I just recently got any kind of information about any kind of different sampling, but what kind of pollutants is that vehicle going to pick up?
Can I make a point of order, Chair?
Point of order, yes.
We all have good questions, and they're great, but in due of time and fairness to others, is it a possibility that the rest of her questions can be relayed to Janice through email or conference call or something of that nature?
Absolutely. If everyone is in agreement.
I am in agreement to pass on and let someone else ask questions.
So this is Mark, just real quick. One thing I do want to make note of is that we are tracking any and all questions, whether they're here in this meeting or shared with us via email, Vincent's earlier point, etc. And we will be providing responses to all questions that come in, and that will be shared back with the group. So appreciate your willingness there, Denise, as well. I just want to be clear that you and the rest of the group will get a chance to both see your questions and any either amendments to the plan or responses from the district.
Okay. Denise, does that sound satisfactory for the moment? We are capturing.
Yes, but I would like to have an answer to that one at the bottom of 2.7 where it says that the equipment may not meet the federal requirements in 40 code of the federal regulations part 53. That's where I got that it doesn't meet some kind of federal standard. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. Staff, did you get the page that she was referencing? Section, Denise, repeat that 2 point what?
It's 2-10 at the bottom in the notes.
Okay. All right. And the footnote, that is number 10 footnote. Okay. All right. Thank you so very much, Denise. Bishop Chris Baker, do you have any questions or clarifications, areas of clarification? And do you think the camp captures the steering committee recommendations today?
Yes, I do. I really don't see my point of view, nothing wrong with it. I approve of it, but I have just a few comments real quick. When we did the presentations of the mobile device, if I'm correct, I'm going to look through my notes. All that was explained, what it picks up, what it does, and various other natures of what the thing does. So if we can look back on our notes and who presented and all those good things, maybe it'll refresh in our memory, because we do go through a lot of stuff, but I'm sure we discussed all of that. And that's it.
All right. I want to circle back to Rhonda Henderson. Do you have any comments? Do you think the camp captures the steering committee recommendations? Are there areas in the camp that need further clarification for you?
I think it captures the committee's recommendations. I have a similar question that Denise brought up about the 2.10. I want to make sure that we do have professional grade monitoring equipment for all that we do, and that it meets the federal requirements, and so that there won't be any exceptions that it won't do. Does that make sense?
Right. Okay.
And then that was my only concern for now.
All right. I'm going to circle back to Tito. Do you have any comments at this time? Do you think the camp captured the steering committee recommendations to date? And 2, are there areas of clarification, camp clarification that you need?
Hi, Pat. Thank you for the opportunity. I mean, there's a lot of questions, but I just real quick want to bring your attention to, I think, the topic of education and outreach. Reading it over and over again, it seems like there's the issue that we always talk about with the lack of characterization of the emission in the community. You know, how those emissions are affecting our health, particularly in the South Sacramento area. I think the language doesn't seem to be articulating or summarizing really that was what the issues are. I think we talked about education and outreach, but part of the education is also understanding the language, the process in which we carry or pass that on to the community. And I feel like if we, the steering member community, don't have the capacity, yet we have the connection, we have the outreach ability, but yet we don't have the manpower or the resources, I'm not sure how we can engage more of the public, get more of the participation. So I'm hoping that I can bring that to your attention, that when we go over this, that's part of our agenda, is providing maybe a common language, but also have it diverse in a way where we can include other people with, you know, obviously with English as a second language for them as well, not just to engage, but also to keep the participation going with them. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And Tito, just as a point of clarification for me, That sounds like those were particularly relevant to elements 12 and element 14 in that communication back to the community. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
Okay. All right. Bill Knowlton, do you have any comments?
No, I think it captures what we spoke about over the last year.
Okay. And are there any other areas of clarification that you need?
No, I think I'm clear. Thank you.
All right.
Hi, Pat.
Yes.
Oh, do you want to go first, and then I want to provide a couple of things that both Denise and Rhonda had brought up about the specifics about meeting the regulatory stipulations.
Okay. I only have to say I do believe that it does reflect the cumulative recommendations that we've made across time. The areas of clarification, I had wanted clarification and found the language subsequently as I did a slightly deeper read. I would also make a recommendation to the point that Vincent was making about last meeting, and then in his subsequent email, he was talking about the order in which we were looking at the objectives and the concerns that had been stated by the committee, particularly on pages in section 3.1 and going through to pages 3.3. I would like a paragraph because in no matter what order we do, and I think that there was some good reasoning that that Vincent was making those recommendations, but I do agree that and was stated by Rhonda Henderson at our last meeting that these items held equal value. So if I would like in sections 3.1 and in sections 4.1 where we talk about the objectives for a paragraph to be stated, these concerns and subsequently these objectives are these are listed concerns not in priority order. They hold equal value to the steering committee. So with that, I look to the clarification statements that you're going to make, Janice. My understanding about and I know we had broken up into different groups when we went through the discussion about what that 75, what completeness was. I feel comfortable with that minimal standard being placed there, knowing that our standard is higher that we are expecting, but it is an industry, it is an acceptable industry standard for completeness, and I would rather us know where our stop line is and be able to collect that data. I would rather be able to accept 18 hours of data out of 24 if necessary, but I would hope that the readings would be more like 20 to 24 ideally. But with that, I will yield back this floor. Are there any other questions at this time? Okay, Vincent.
Okay, so I had to go back to my emails just to see exactly which ones I sent.
Mm-hmm.
In our last meeting, we were informed that there wasn't enough money in the budget, in our monitoring budget, to on more than 1 in 6 days. And so just out of interest, I'm wondering why we can't see what the budget is and know how much we're spending on monitors, on air.
I'm gonna just ask, can that come forward? I had responded to your email and asked you if you could bring that forward for our discussion, and we've left time in the new business section. Do you mind?
Well, that's just it's reflective of the camp though, but I mean, because we don't have money to do some of the monitoring in our camp. So, all right, well, I brought that up. So, and then the other email was in regards to the concerns, and just like Pat had just mentioned, but instead of having a paragraph there saying that these concerns, which they're listed all throughout that document as 1, 2, 3, and 4, and anybody reading it after the third time is going to think our concern number 1 is need to increase air quality education and outreach efforts. And so they should actually reflect on what we're doing. And so if we're collecting emissions inventory, we should have that as our first concern, and rearrange those into the concerns that make a little more logical order. And so instead of saying, well, this doesn't mean what order we really want to be in, but we just put them in this order. And so I just have to read things in a logical order sometimes, and so that could be just me. And so I just want to reiterate, and I have that email that I sent to the district. Yeah. And so, and as far as the professional grade equipment, why they're not meeting the federal standard, that's another one that I feel that needs to be addressed. Well, why and that, and the 75% target for the sampling that I mentioned on the tables. And so those things are things. And when we talk to some of the professional air monitors.
All right, I'm going to because we're repeating ourselves now. So we did it, and Janice wanted to respond to a couple of those things. So let's let her respond.
Hi, thank you. So for the purposes of the note that Rhonda and Denise was concerned about, as well as Vincent, I just wanted to clarify that the note that's on 2-10, the federal requirements, are referring to whether or not the feds have a very strict guidelines in terms of obstruction of objects, how close a monitor is going to be obstructing airflow. And when we move into more of a community scale, that may be more of a challenge than it is trying to put a monitor to monitor for region wide. So it is about, how close are you to, to a wall, how close the different monitors can be placed near each other. And so what we've learned from the community wood smoke, toxics from wood smoke study, is that some of that is just logistical, and it may not be possible. And so while we aim to meet all of those regulatory requirements, it may not be it may not be physically possible for us to find an area that meets all of the strict requirements that that is outlined in the regulation.
Okay. All right. So at this point, we've gone through our round robin. We've asked those questions. They have been noted. We will expect responses to those. And I'm going to hand that back to Bill.
All right, good discussion. So now let's hand it back to Janice. She just got through, but we're going to put her back on. Janice and David for logistics and public comment.
Okay. So David, do you want to go through the public comment period?
The public comment period, the public comment agenda item?
Yes.
Yeah, so now we're opening up our chat. So if whoever's on the chat and would like to make would like to be included on the list to speak, please let me know as well. We'll give you guys a couple of minutes to do that. So, Joe, thank you. I have you on the list. Is there anybody else from the chat?
David, what did you want people to do who are on the phones?
On the chat. On the chat. And then I'll move to the phone in a little bit. Okay. So not seeing any more people who's interested on the chat. I will close the chat and ask for people who's on the phone to please indicate if you're interested in providing a comment or a question to let me know, and I can put you on the list to speak. Please unmute yourself by pressing star 6.
Hi, I would like to make a public comment, please.
Okay, and can you please identify yourself and who you're with?
My name is Jose Saldana, and I live in the community in Parkway Estates.
Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to speak, to be put on the list to speak?
This is Armand Barahona with the Latinos.
Okay, Armand. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, not hearing anybody. We will mute everybody, and then we can start with our public comment section. So the first person who requested to speak is Earl Whitcomb from ECOS. If you could unmute yourself and provide your comment or question.
We're not hearing Earl.
Earl, are you there? Please unmute yourself to speak.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. After reviewing the minutes for the last 6 months and listening to the discussion tonight, I'm going to make a recommendation that I made at the last meeting. I think there is some concern among at least some steering committee members about trust. Trust that the district has all the right technical answers. My sense is that that trust could be rebuilt by appointing a technical advisory committee to give the steering committee a second opinion. And if that second opinion differs from the technical opinion of the district, then to explain both sides to the committee so that they can make an informed decision. I'm hearing a lot of comments that come from basically a lack of the kind of technical depth that we who deal in the air pollution field have acquired over decades of experience. And I sympathize with their sense of vulnerability. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next person on the list is Jonathan London from UC Davis.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Hello?
can hear you, Jonathan.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks so much. Good to speak with you all again. Some of you may remember I had attended a few meetings last year and haven't had a chance to do that more recently, but good to catch up. I wanted to let you know that you will all of you being the Community Steering Committee members, documents that are the draft report of our AB 617 Community Engagement Evaluation Study that I talked with folks back when I was there last. That report will have a 3-week comment period, and there's an online survey that will go out to you, and we ask that we get those surveys back by May 15th, and you'll see in the survey there's questions about what you think we got right, what you think we missed, what you think we got wrong, places that were unclear, additional information that would be needed, and that will be really helpful for us to make sure both that we got it right and also that it's as useful as possible for you, since that really is the intention of the report. And by you, I mean community steering committees, the Air District, and CARB, as well as other interested members of the public. So that communication that you'll get from, I'm not sure who will send it, Janice or David, but we'll also have my contact information. So if there's any questions or concerns, you can get in touch with me directly that way. And then we'll also be reviewing all the comments that come in, and then we'll reflect all of those comments in the final draft, which will be available in early summer, be distributed to all of you in its final form.
Okay, David, who's next?
The next person is Joe, South Sac family.
Joe, we can't hear you. If you may need to unmute on your end.
Joe, we are not hearing you. If you could, if you can't make a statement, you can always email me, and I could read your statement out.
Let's move forward and try to come back to him.
Okay. The next person is Jose Saldana, a community member. Jose, please unmute yourself, *6 if you're on the phone.
Hello?
Hello, this is Jose.
Hi.
We can hear you now.
Yeah. Thank you. You think I would be ready after hearing this keep coming up, but thank you for your patience and this opportunity. I lived through the camp, and I wanted to provide some comments on the goals, objectives, and concerns. First, I want to reflect and emphasize Vince's point that the numbering system is intuitively conveying a sense of urgency. So it's not just you, Vince. I had the same impression. And I'll make a brief comment on each of the points. At the last call, I mentioned that outreach and education is an assumed and implied component of AB 617. And so one would assume that during the course of the monitoring, before the project got started, when the project's concluding, that the community is going to be informed about the process and what's being learned. I don't understand AB 617 to be anything other than that. That said, if that has to be on there, I would encourage that materials be translated to Vietnamese. Little Saigon is a significant part of the South Sacramento community, and I think if education and outreach is going to be a priority, then it should be more than what has been done. For the second part, I think, and I don't recall the numbers, but I'll try to touch on all the subjects. I think the prioritizing of emission monitoring for Highway 99 as part of the education to the steering committee around the types of pollutants and what's there. They should also be provided with information that tells them what kind of strategies can be made available as a result of that monitoring. So priority area 1 of the steering community has several logistics centers and big rigs that pass in front of dense housing, a school that's 97% low income, people of color, or around there. Don't hold me to the 97%, but I've gone to their fairs. There are 500 people there. They're all people of color. And, you know, I've heard the steering committee ask for land use planners. And so there are possible solutions there. I think as part of what's being taught to them around the monitoring are the possible solutions that can do, or how that could establish a baseline to see if strategies they come up with are being successful or not. For the when kids should be inside, you know, I believe the Air District has done a wonderful job already with an air alert system. I could be wrong. And that being the case, I think given everybody's time and sacrifice to this effort, where feasible, a health analysis of some type tied to the monitoring would be a tangible deliverable. And the last one, I don't recall what it was, and I don't want to take up more time. So thank you for this opportunity and taking these comments.
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you, Jose. The next person is Herman from United Latino, I believe.
And once again, if you're on your phone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. So United Latinos is in full support of providing, of forming a technical advisory group that can help the board understand the literacy that's needed in all this. This is the kind of stuff that we need also for the general community. So we hope that the information is framed somehow to make it understandable for people at schools, churches, and local neighborhoods. United Latinos is also in full support of making sure that AB 617 serves its goals of reducing emissions that are poisoning families in the greater South Sacramento area, not just the geographic boundary that it was set. So if that's also a problem, we also want to know what the budget, our transparency on the budget that's been supporting AB 617 for Sacramento County. And I'll take myself off this comment for now. This is it.
David, do we have any other members of the public who would like to speak?
No, we don't at this time. We could open up the chat line to see if there's anybody else who wants to participate.
Okay, so in the meantime, Mark Lutzenizer.
I said that I would like to speak.
I hear someone's
Oh, I
voice
heard
saying.
somebody.
Repeat that.
Yes, this is Joe, and I would like to speak, please.
Oh, yeah.
Joelle? Okay, Joelle.
Okay, this is a similar issue that happened last time. Is I'm on my laptop, it doesn't work, so I have to call and toggle between the mute. So I've muted my computer. I can't hear anyone right now because otherwise you'll hear a killer echo. So I'm just going to go for it, okay? All right. So my first question, it's more of a question. I have a few comments, but my first is for the steering committee members. I was just wondering, and you can do like the roll call that Pat's been doing, how many of you have been able to receive technical assistance outside of that which is presented by the Air District?
Okay.
Can you repeat the question?
Do we respond to that, Pat?
The question was.
The question, I guess
of the steering committee members. Of the steering committee members, about how many of you have been able to consult with technical experts outside of those that are provided by the Air District during these meetings? I wanted to know either by show of voices or show of hands, I don't know.
So are we responding to that, Pat or Bill? Or
if you choose to respond, you can.
Vincent
has
spoke to experts.
I personally, I never have a problem with getting information from the various committees, various staff members. I've never had a problem with it.
Go ahead, Joelle.
So that's two of us.
No,
okay. Well, I wanted to
this is Denise, and I just recently reached out and asked a few people to, explain some things that I felt was contradictory and was hampering my ability to be informed about this process. It's just been the last, I don't know, week or two, but it has really, really helped me. I know you probably can't tell it in this form right here, but give me a few months and I'll be up and running. That's how I feel now. But yes, I do feel that it was crucial for me to go outside and ask for help. Yes, I do feel that way.
I provided comments regarding the outside.
You're breaking up.
We're not hearing you.
No, your sound is gone.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Your sound is breaking up, Janice. Okay, Joelle, are you there?
It was a question for the steering committee in any case. And the reason why I asked that question, how many of the steering committee members have been able to reach out to experts outside of the Air District, is because some of the comments seemed very pertinent, very specific, and geared towards understanding the science. And in the goals of AB 617, it was to, provide an educational experience, not just for the Air District, but for the community to understand how to protect our community's air. And the goal of that was to reduce. And so in reading the camp, it was brought to my attention by some experts, because I'm not an air quality person, but it was brought to my attention that some of the goals weren't geared towards having pristine data quality capture, and it was concerning that 75%, I know that number has been brought up, was the benchmark or the completeness score. But even in the language of the CAMP, for example, it says air quality data may be used to reduce or mitigate pollution impacts. And this sort of language is throughout all of the elements and their explanations. And I was wondering what is with the non-determination, the non-deterministic language of the CAMP, because AB 617 is written to say that a CAMP will inform an emissions reduction program. And that's kind of, for me, the bare minimum for completeness in a CAMP, the non-deterministic language of a CAMP, and not putting community perspectives and input first, even in what is listed as key stakeholders and participants. It kind of speaks to a broader issue that I've noticed, is that the community members are not well equipped to respond to the technical expertise of those who are on the Air District staff. And so there's been an imbalance. There hasn't been as the type of urgency in the language that's used that we will use this data to then reduce. And so those are some comments and some suggestions for strengthening the CAMP, and also to support the push for a technical advisory group.
Thank you.
Hi, Pat. This is Janice. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to let you know that the district has heard the desire for outside experts to help answer some of these questions that you all have, and to build that trust with the committee. And so what we have done, and I shared at the last meeting, was that we did reach out to, and Vincent also reached out to the director of the UC Davis Air Quality Research Center, and he was on earlier. He had to get off after the first hour. But he is reviewing the CAMP with a couple of grad students. He was willing and available to do that. We also have a couple of scientists that we have worked with in the wood smoke study that really does understand the toxics in, at least we did the toxics from wood smoke study with them, and they really understand and have analyzed that information for Sacramento County. And so one of the things that we are hoping to do is after you all have submitted all your comments, we're taking them right now. What we want to do is to synthesize all of that information and hope and have what we call a office hour, where Dr. Wexler was able to say that he would be willing to hold one, along with the California Air Resources Board, the Air District, and perhaps the other people that we've asked to review the CAMP. And so it is really important that you all send these questions, and today was a really good conversation, that, so we can line these people up to help you all understand the information. We understand that it is a large, read, and it is very difficult. But so that is something that we heard and we want to be able to provide. And so after this meeting, I'm going to be reaching out to you all for a RSVP if we set up a office hour for you to answer the question, for us to be able to answer any of these questions with outside experts on what their perspectives may be. So I did want to throw that out there, is that we've heard you. and we are trying to have a mechanism to hold these meetings so that you do have access to these outside experts as well.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, please make it brief. We're going to move forward
Okay.
with the agenda.
Thank you for
Identify yourself, please.
Chris Baker, committee member. Thank you, Janice, for clarifying that. And then one quick one is I would like to ask that when we're saying we spoke to outside folks, it would be a real good idea to give us those names. I know personally I would like to know who they are, and if they're saying why we're not this, why we're not that, it would be a good idea to see where they're coming from. So those individuals, between now and then, I personally would like to know what report they're reading that's saying why aren't we this and we that. So my comment is to be that we should know who those individuals are, because it's getting frustrated when we're talking about outside sources on the day of the meeting. I think someone should get an email that, hey, I talked to so-and-so, and they said this and they said that, and then that should be emailed to every steering committee member so we, you know.
So Chris, I think, so you're asking if folks can identify some of their outside experts, and
exactly.
I hear you there. Let's keep it focused to that, and I think we're ready to move to a break if folks are done.
Can I respond to? Can I make one quick comment about that? Because this is Denise McCoy, and I received an email saying that the district was meeting with university experts, EPA, and other experts, and they never named any of those experts, nor have I ever met one. So I do think that, you know, everything needs to be transparent. And not only that, anybody that helped you, or that, you know, any experts that you used, any nonprofit or groups or anything that actually helped you on this camp needs to be mentioned in this camp. It should be in here. And just one quick thing in case I don't get a chance, on page 2.3, I would like to ask the district to comment on why the EJ committees are the EJ communities are not in the map, nor are any of the Title of 5 factories. They're all outside, and being that on page 2.3, we actually asked about the Campbell Soup factory, which is really a power plant. It is the Sacramento Power Authority, and it is a Title V, and it's outside, and the committee members wanted it in. And so if you could just explain why it's not in, and that goes with the airport too, because the airport is being federally monitored 6 miles away. It's like that, and that's the only monitor. So there's no monitors for these in South Sacramento, and now that they're outside of the boundaries, I would like to know if there's any way that, you know, that can be changed. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Bishop, did you finish your point, sir?
No, I didn't. I wanted to also clarify that many of the meetings, and I'm getting very frustrated with this because I feel we're wasting time going backwards when we should be moving forward. We've had many meetings, and I've heard staff from the Air Board and various others mention the experts they talked to. Janice just mentioned the experts, and various times she mentioned experts and various other staff members. We got to stop beating up on the district and pointing the finger and move forward.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So this is what I'm going to ask. We are we're really pushing our our clock now, and we are cutting off our discussion time. So let's make this a 3-minute break. All right. So everyone, please be back here at 7:43. Right? Does that look right on the clock? Get up, stretch, and please be back for business in 3 minutes.
All right, it's 7:43.
Okay, let's go ahead to our next section, please. Have Director Guerra been able to join us?
He has not. Director Guerra, are you online? No, he's either running late or going to be unable to make it today. So
Okay.
let's go on
So
to.
let's move forward.
Okay.
I'll send him a text, and if we want to hand it over to Pat to start on the new business.
All right, we're in new business.
The calendar discussion. It's
yes, and that also has the results of the survey that the members took. Can we move forward? Yes, there we are. All right, the survey that we sent out, these were on matters that were in the parking lot. And the technical advisory group discussion came out number 1. What would involve with the amend of the charter that had some also agenda development, conduct best practices, preview, create a pre-SERP exploration group. The boundary was at last. We have taken up the boundary issue. The boundaries that we voted on are included in the camp. Currently, we revisited the discussion and we put it up for the survey, and it came out as last for of interest on the survey at this time. So the boundary issue, we're going to let that rest, and we're going to move forward. I did have a discussion with Vincent as a follow-up to our last meeting that we had 2 weeks ago, and to follow up around the issue of the tag. Good discussion was had, and today some of that very same thing has been said in our public comment as well as in the steering committee comment. I asked Vincent, as we look at these items, technical advisory group, amend charter, agenda development, conduct best practices review, create a pre-SERP exploration group. Some of these things can happen simultaneously, certainly. But I asked Vincent if he could come back with a little bit of information for us today about the technical advisory group, so we can have a short discussion and perhaps get some names and forward that to the staff so the staff knows how we would like to be able to utilize the group. Vincent, what have you gathered for us to discuss?
Vincent, we're unable to hear you.
I'm wondering if Vincent is back from break.
All right. We also had, we wanted to looking at our meetings. This is meeting 18. When we would want to bring these, try to bring some of these items back over in our upcoming meetings. Do we have any discussion from members or what they would want to see happen? Let's start with the technical advisory group. Rhonda, do you have any commentary as to what you would be looking for in a technical advisory group?
Rhonda, we are unable to hear you.
It looks like her mic is still shown as being shut off.
Okay. Did you get to undo it?
Rhonda, I think we can hear you if you speak now.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, we can hear you now.
I think my computer froze. All right. Well, I would like to have
all on mute.
Excuse me?
We were all on mute when you were asking everybody's name, Pat. We were all on mute.
Oh yeah.
I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you wanna pick up with Vincent, and then you can come back to me.
Okay, I will do. Thank you, Rhonda, for deferring. Vincent, why don't you go ahead and let us know what you've been able to gather.
Well, I wasn't able to gather very much, and you're right. We've already talked about some of the tag. We've talked about it at several different meetings. it looks like the district is already starting a tag group for us with Dr. Wexler. I mean, I also submitted somebody else's name, and they refused to reach out to them. So I'm just a little curious on who's setting up the tag group and whether or not we need to have a ad hoc committee to do it. And so I'm just going to defer.
So let me just jump in real quick. This is Mark. Just be clear, the district is not rejecting anyone or anything at this moment in time. We're waiting to hear from the feedback from the committee on what experts you guys would like to have, because we didn't want to reach out prematurely to anyone just to make sure. Tony Wexler was one that we were reaching out to from past experience on.
Or you have reached out to somebody.
Not per se as part of the tag per se, it certainly can be, but we were reaching out to him as part of technical review of the camp, similar to what we did on the toxic wood smoke study a few years back.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
This is your opportunity to identify potential people for the tag, right, Pat? Was that what you were thinking? And the group can decide when to agendize it?
And who we might, and how would we want to reach it? Let me just start this then. Okay. My concern is that we do need some expert help and training, because as this information starts to come in, we need to understand it better so that we can also be able to communicate it to the community. Because we've all said that was very important for us to be able to outreach, but we have to have some better understanding. And to the points that were made tonight, I think that were very good. Jose had also talked about, what are some of the things we could be able to do with that to get some tangible results with the results that we get. But we need to be able to understand that. I think that we're going to need some medical expertise. Certainly it is not the expertise of the Air District to know about asthma or what the overlay may be with the data that we get back about what that means. But certainly we have institutions within this community and information that's within this community that we can help. I thought that Earl Whitcomb had some very, in the short amount of time that he spoke to us, had some very enlightening ways of being able to explain some of the information and details to us. He may be a resource that we want to be able to call upon, and perhaps it might be in small focused presentations and discussions that we can have about individual topics, so that we can dive deeper in on those. Rhonda, let's follow up with you. What were your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are, I agree we do need to have maybe a medical expert. I think we might need to have a technical expert to explain the results of the data that we pull, but someone that can explain it in layman's terms, so that we clearly understand what the data means. You can get technical experts, but sometimes they talk way over your head and you still don't have a better understanding. So we need to be careful who we select. Select somebody that can break it down to us in layman's terms.
Okay.
And then you mentioned too that some of these things can be done simultaneously.
Yes.
And I heard Vincent said perhaps we should have an ad hoc committee. Have you thought about, any of you thought about having an ad hoc committee for the technical advisory group, to get that going in the background? And if you have, I nominate Vincent to run that up. And then another one for, what was the other one? The pre-SERP exploration group. They could be doing that while we're already doing what we're doing, so that by the time we get through and they come back to the next meeting, we've accomplished something, we've got some more information to share and to act upon. And the pre-SERP exploration group, I would like to nominate Denise to head that up as an ad hoc group.
Can I speak? Is it my turn yet?
You need to identify yourself. Everyone can't see you.
Denise McCoy.
Yes.
Okay. This is moving too fast. We're supposed to my understanding, we're supposed to actually vote on a tag first. We shouldn't be having this discussion where we're throwing out names. It's like once we vote on a tag, then we can start filling those spots instead of just throwing out names. Let me see.
All right, Denise, give me your comments. What do you want to see from a tag? And do you have any recommendations of the persons or types of persons that we want to have?
Okay, I just said that I think that we should be voting on the tag, like we should vote for a tag first and then fill those positions, and it should all be done by the steering committee. We don't want to repeat of what happened last, where things are being left out because we're rushing and we're not getting our questions answered and we're not focused. So I feel I can just say that of course you have to have a EJ person. Of course, you have to have a public policy person, a public health person, a land use person. I can say that, but I think that it's premature to just start giving out names. Everybody's giving out names without us coming together and deciding on exactly what positions that we need, voting on that, and then moving forward, because we're I think we're getting ahead of ourselves as far as actually throwing out names.
Okay, your comment is noted. Bishop Baker, do you have any comments?
Bishop, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, can hear.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Briefly, yes, I think on the tag issue, I want to just say I think the staff is doing a great job on doing their part of it. And as far as ours here, throwing names out from what I heard earlier, I think that's the idea we need to step to see who's doing this, and then bring it back to have them speak and say, okay, well, this is what I do, this is what I'll do, and then we make a decision then. So I don't see where there's nothing wrong with putting names out there. Those are the individuals you want to come and speak, and once all of them come, then you want to decide as a group who you want to select.
May I ask for some special, is Karen Buckley on the line from Air Resources Board? I don't know if she's on the line with us any longer.
She should be. Karen, can you please unmute yourself?
There you go. Karen, just for perspective, do you have knowledge of how other groups are using their technical advisory groups?
And how they came into being.
What?
How were they created? We cannot hear Karen. Okay. Is Samar on the line? Can you unmute yourself? Samar with Air Resources Board.
Hi, yes, I am on the line, though I am not in the best position to speak to what has been done in other communities. I will defer to Karen because I have only worked here in Sacramento.
Okay. I can appreciate that. Now, Samar, I do have a different question for you. You are a person who's been appointed as an EJ representative to us by Veronica Eady. Am I correct? Samara is on. She has to unblock her mic.
Samar, you are unblocked on our end.
Okay, great. I was just going to note that I am not in a position to speak to what has been done in all the other selected communities. Some do have tags, and I think if Karen is able to speak to it, she can discuss what has been done in other communities, and if not, we can follow up with a description so that the steering committee members know what has been done. But I've only worked here in Sacramento. Apologies.
Yes, no. And mine was the clarification before you block yourself off again, that you are the EJ representative assigned to us by Veronica Eady. Am I correct?
Yes, I work on Veronica Eady's team as part of the EJ unit.
Okay.
Okay, Pat?
Yes.
This is Karen. I finally got my thing to unmute me.
Okay, very good.
I'm sorry, everyone, that there was such a delay.
No problem. We'll come back to you just a second. But
Okay.
I ask Samar. Samar, would you have the availability of helping us as well around issues of and presentation to us around issues of EJ and AB 617?
Absolutely, I can do my part as a representative of the CARB Environmental Justice Unit. I think if there are members of the steering committee who would like to seek additional, environmental justice experts, potentially people who live within the community itself, then I would encourage them to do so, because I do not live within the boundaries of the selected community, and I am a CARB representative. So I don't think it needs to be mutually exclusive.
No, there is no need for it to be mutually exclusive, but you would be available to us to be able to help us with that, with a panel or helping us with panelists that we might put together to help educate ourselves in a workshop.
Absolutely, 100%.
Thank you so very much. Karen, can we go back to you and ask the question? Do you know how have some of the other groups, AB 617 steering committees, utilize their tags, and how were those formulated?
Well, as all things in AB 617, each community has done it differently for those that have formed them. Some of them were as simple as, I believe it was Fresno in the San Joaquin Valley. They said, who wants to be on a monitoring, I think they called it a subcommittee, that meets like once a month, and we talk about these various things in the monitoring plan, and then bring that information back to the main steering committee in a month. So it was that simple. To some of them, like in Southern California, that district has quite a few different SERPs and monitoring plans, and they have a technical subcommittee where it's 2 members of each steering committee participate in this group, and then the stuff that they work on, they bring back to the main committee. Richmond is going through kind of a more rigorous process where they're having a design committee to put it together, and that's how they're trying to do it. So you guys have the flexibility to make it as simple or as formal as you would like it.
Okay.
Okay. So, and I think what would help is, sorry, Denise, I heard you come in. I'm almost finished. It would help, because I know when we try to reach out to get experts to participate, we have to be able to kind of tell them what we need from them. So I think that might be a little bit of what Janice might need in order to be able to help set some of this up. Okay.
Thank you. Stephanie
Hey,
Williams.
can I speak now?
Denise,
Okay.
New members who haven't had a chance to speak yet, and then come back to you, if you don't mind.
Okay.
All right. We're trying to round robin this quickly. Stephanie Williams, do you have any comments?
Yeah, so can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So just my comments in and around the tag is and it's been said, but I'd just like to repeat it. I think the importance of it is really in and around how whoever is going to present this information, whether it's going to be in person, we're going to be provided with an expert to give us some additional clarity, or if we're going to get that information, in a written format or some type of other additional resources. I think it just needs to be at a level of everyone's comprehension. I am very big on readability. And I believe just the documents that we receive and that also is going to, as a result, end up going out to the public need to be at a level where people can understand that. And just kind of my feeling is a lot of the things that we have received is very technical. And so, of course, that's why we're asking for the tag, but not only the technical terms. I just think the language in which things are written are high. The average readability score for general population is at an 8th grade reading level. The documentation that we often get and the things that we receive are far above that. And so I think that anything that is going to come to us, I don't want to make the assumption that everyone has the same ability the same comprehension ability. And so I think that we should be mindful of that, and that when documents are coming either to the steering committee or being available in any sort, we really need to make sure that we are, that is documents that the general public could read and understand. And that's just all of my comment.
Very good. Tito, did you have a comment? I'm going. Is Tito, is that you?
Hi, Pat, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay, no, it's past 8 o'clock. It's past my bedtime, so I'm going
Yes.
to move forward. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Bill Knowlton, do you have a comment?
I do. I like Karen's comment about knowing what we want to ask, and I think that's important. If we're going to get an expert to come speak with us, which is preferable, I think to Stephanie's point, we have to be spoken in a language that we understand. And so I think that probably an in-person or Zoom call or Skype call would be better than a written, because these folks are very, very bright. And again, we don't do this every day. So I think that really asking what are we asking of the experts, and I like the idea of a medical expert. I think that's a very good idea. And I'll echo what the bishop said. I applaud the staff for helping us down this road. And again, the staff does this every day. This is the world they live in, and they've been very patient with us. And so I appreciate all of their efforts. We are not scientists, and we have to understand that if we're going to ask people to come and speak to us, we should have a subject, and to the point on having somebody take this on, if Vincent wanted to take this on and say, hey, I think we should talk to this person and this person, I think that's a great idea. I just think we have to go forward at some point in our, again, to Bishop's comment earlier, at some point we have to go forward. And if we are getting lost in the language and we can get people to come in and talk to us about it, I think it's a great idea. So however this body wants to go forward, I would be in support. I just think we have to know what we're asking for before we ask people for it.
Okay. All right. In the interest of time, is there something new that needs to be stated, Denise?
Yes, this needs to be completely done by the steering committee. This should not be something that's being put together by the district. That's the problem in the first place. Everybody else might be happy. I'm not. I have not been happy for 6 months. I had to go outside and get outside people to answer my questions. So as far as this, just all of this that you guys have just done, this is not right. This needs to be completely done by the steering committee, and we need to first decide what positions we need and why we need them, and vote on it, and then you can start filling those positions with people. Okay. You don't just decide that, okay, we need to, I'm going to leave it because I just don't know. This whole being taken over and we need people's lives. People are losing their lives right now in South Sacramento.
All right, we're going to stop this discussion.
We need to be effective.
If I may.
This is Ariel. Denise, we hear your emotions and your concern, but this is the steering committee, and you all are talking about how to move forward. So you all can decide to move forward.
So Bishop, were you trying to say something?
Oh, this is Pat Shelby speaking.
Okay. Come on.
What I nominate Vincent Valdez to head up a committee to bring back a schedule of technical presentations for us for recommendation for discussion and determination. Vincent, how much time do you need to do that?
I accept the nomination first. I will have something ready by next month or mid-month. I should be able to have a report I can email to everybody. We could all look at, digest. I just don't know what day we're going to be able to review it because May 26th is a big meeting.
Well, don't we have to second the nomination or anything? No?
That's what I'm wondering. I don't know the point of order.
This is not right. This is not right. You cannot just say, okay, Vincent, we want you to handle it. You haven't asked the rest of us anything.
Okay, there's a nomination. There is a motion on the table.
Is there a second?
Excuse me, everyone. There is a motion on the table. Is there a second to this motion?
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor of having Vincent Valdez head up a committee for TAG representation. Let's do it like this. Pat, would you go through the roll call, please?
Yes. Bill Knowlton.
Yes.
Bishop Chris Baker.
Yes.
Denise McCoy. Gary Johansson.
Yes.
Patricia Shelby, yes. Rhonda Henderson.
Yes.
Shirley Banks. Not present. Stephanie Williams.
Yes.
Tito Hung.
Yes, ma'am.
And Vincent, what's your vote for you?
So.
All right.
All right. Well, there's been so motion carries.
Yes.
Thank you, Vincent, for taking on this extra task. We appreciate it, and bringing us back ideas for people who can again articulate to us. Just please, Vincent, have them speak in plain English for us, and we appreciate your service. Thank you very much.
All right. So
You're welcome.
Vincent's going to give us some information and then we'll get a report back next month too, Vincent. Okay. Thank you so very much. All right. Bill, you want to move forward? Let's get to wrap it up. We're way past our time.
We are way past our time. So, new business items. So there's been a lot of discussion on how to bring up new business items, what would the right way to do this. So
Vincent wrote the two items in, the budget and the the air data. Where are we now?
Vincent, would you like to speak to that?
Sure. I'm running out of time, but the budget question was, I would like to, for all the committee members to be able to see what budget we're working with, how much money we've allocated out of it already, or items we've bought and spent money on, and what's left in the budget for the AB 617 South Sacramento Floor Steering Committee for this year. Because, I mean, we're talking about things in the camp that we're going to be paying for, but we don't even know if there's money to pay for them. Or
correct.
Or it was brought to our attention last month,
right,
that there wasn't enough money in the budget for some items. And so, well, what's in the budget? So that's our question on transparency. My question, and I don't know what the other ones are, but I have my son and I got to take him home.
Okay.
And so I'm going to be on here for a few more minutes, and I have to go.
Right. You wrote in your email about the air quality with COVID-19 and the lack of traffic moving around. Have we seen any appreciable difference? You wanted a report back on that?
Yes, you're right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Vincent.
Okay. Thank you, Vincent. Those two.
Bill.
Okay. So we can get those on calendar. Next, do other steering committee members have agenda topics that they'd like to put on the list? Pat, do you want to do a round robin again? Is that how we're doing this?
Yeah, let's just be clear. Bishop Chris Baker, do you have a new item?
No, not at this time.
Denise McCoy, do you have a new item? Gary Johansson, do you have a new item?
No, I do not.
Rhonda Henderson, do you have a new item?
No, I don't.
Stephanie Williams, do you have a new item?
I don't have a new item, but I do have a request, and I would just like to get a copy of the camp in a Word document. It's only on PDF online, and then I have my printed copy, but I would like that in Word. So if I could have that from the Air District, that would be great. That's all.
Okay. All right. Tito, do you have any new items?
No, Pat, thank you for your stamina, your patience, and your work.
All right. We've covered Vincent's. My only addition to that is a report back request from staff to update us in light of COVID-19 and the budget constraints from the state. What can we have for expectations of and reality checks as to where and what the district can do? And if that's possible, we could get that in the next report back as well. All right, that's all for new business.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
So this is, Pat, if it's okay, this is Mark with Sac Metro.
Yes, Mark.
So knowing that Vincent needs to go, I want to just keep this very brief. We will be looking to bring back an update on budget information per your request, Vincent. Functionally, it looks very similar to what was shared with this committee in October. So if you go back to your handouts at the October meeting, or for those from the general public, there actually is a handout that is still attached under the October meeting notes that sort of gives a summary of the equipment costs. Functionally, we're at or have exceeded our budget currently for the 617 or for the efforts in the program area.
Okay.
But that's everything we've put into the camp so far. we believe we can still do.
Okay, Mark, let's bring that back formally in next
Certainly.
month's meeting if we can, just in our time. Ariel, have you captured action items?
Well, I think the main one is Vincent got the TAG subcommittee and will produce a report, and he's expecting to do that by mid-month.
Okay. Janice, do we have any reminders that we need to do with people now?
Yes. So I just wanted to remind everyone that May 8th is the comment deadline. And the district is going to work to compile all the comments during the comment period, and we will post them on the website. So the steering committee and the public will have an opportunity to review the comments received. Like I mentioned earlier today, we are going to look to see if people would like to have an office hour. And so if so, we would be requesting an RSVP from the steering committees along with the question that you may have so that we can prepare these outside experts with your questions, because we are trying to make sure, we're having due diligence with their time as well. So you'll be hearing, the steering committee will be hearing a little bit from us about that.
All right.
Can you repeat the due date for the comment period, please?
It is due on May 8th, close of business.
Thank you.
Okay. May 8th, close of business. Any of our comments, make sure you get those in. Bill, I'm going to toss it back to you.
As always, robust discussion. I would like to just again thank everybody for spending your evening with us. I know we go over. We will try very, very hard to have a hard stop next time at 8 o'clock. We have to be mindful of everybody's schedule. Vince had to leave before it was over, and that's not fair. So let's be mindful going forward to, again, be respectful of other people's opinions, not to yell at each other, and to treat each other with respect. So with that, thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.